Take one. 4-camera mark.
It is surprising to think that the genius behind the iconic sitcom of the 1990s was created by two unsuspecting comedians who had no real plan and no experience as sitcom writers.
Since when are you a writer? A writer? We're talking about a sitcom.
But it's no question that the show about nothing is now revered as a comedy icon of the past. But Seinfeld actually has a more profound role in society. If aliens were to visit Earth after humanity is long gone, a copy of the entire Seinfeld run can provide them with a surprisingly accurate understanding of the human psyche. An oddly perfect way to showcase the various ways in which humans think and interact, as well as the pathological disorders common to our species.
God, I hope he doesn't jump. Oh, no, God!
Whether or not the aliens will be impressed with humanity itself is another question.
My God! My God!
This is Seinchology. Primetime sitcoms were always shows that families could sit down to, enjoy, and eventually learn moral or feel-good lessons. The Honeymooners, I Love Lucy, The Cosby Show, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Home Improvement, even Married with Children, whose irreverence was unique by all metrics, still would carry with it the satisfaction of family and social bonding.
Daddy beat him up.
Of course not.
But Seinfeld took a different approach. There's never a moral, a life lesson, never fulfillment of its characters. At its core, the show takes its comedy from inviting those to relate to the mainly negative psychological aspects of humanity and society, such that Dr. Anthony Tobia of Rutgers University has utilized aspects of Seinfeld in a medical school class teaching psychopathology. The four main characters each display their own form of egocentrism, cognitive bias in which a person lacks the ability to comprehend another perspective or point of view, selfish disregard for those around them. And although these four are friends, their relationship has survived only because of the tolerance of each other's egocentric behaviors that allow for them to see familiarity. In other words, they see themselves in each other.
What kind of a person would do a thing like that?
And I don't know what kind of person would do something like that. Obviously, a very sick person.
Children display this type of thinking, and for Seinfeld, the juxtaposition of adults conducting socially unacceptable behavior in order to foster childlike desires, such as when Jerry gives his girlfriend drowsy medication in order to play with her action figures, often lends itself to comedy. Their own arguments come from their misunderstanding of why the others cannot see their perspective or pity them, furthering their egocentric quality. In almost every episode, Seinfeld examines societal norms that are pervasive throughout our culture and the reactions to the violations therein, like eating candy bars with a knife and fork, socially acceptable distance when speaking to someone, public displays of affection in certain settings like during Schindler's List in the theater, trying to return items that have been in the bathroom.
Did you take that book with you into the bathroom?
Not washing your hands after using the bathroom. Or double dipping a chip in a publicly used bowl of salsa.
What are you doing? What? Did you just double dip that chip? That's like putting your whole mouth right in the dip.
It uses humor to elevate its social commentary in unique ways, like highlighting Jerry's struggle with his physical versus mental attraction to a woman by showing his brain and his penis in a little chess match.
Disgust me. Oh, go read a book. Enough chatter!
Individually, the show is aware of its main character flaws to the point that they are pathological. The two extremes are George Costanza, who meets the 5 criteria for a diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder, an audacious yet insecure man who expects the world from all around him, and Cosmo Kramer, whose eccentric behavior, magical thinking, paranoid ideas, odd speech and dress all meet criteria for schizotypal personality disorder. Jerry himself shows partial signs of obsessive-compulsive disorder, while Elaine shows a myriad of a partial set of disorders, including narcissism herself. However, as Dr. Tobia points out at length, what distinguishes Elaine is that she engages in relationships with multiple characters who have shown varying subtypes of delusional disorder, which is characterized by delusions or beliefs in an unimagined untruth far from reality. Joe Davola presents the jealous subtype, continuously questioning if Elaine is faithful to him, stalking her in multiple ways. Even jealous of her own ex-boyfriend Jerry's success, believing that his chances at working at NBC were deliberately sabotaged by Seinfeld.
Crazy clown is after you? Oh, that's rich.
There's Bob Cobb, presenting the grandiose type, only desiring to be called Maestro to the point of not responding to his real name,
I'm sorry, Maestro.
and comparing his conducting for the Policemen's Benevolent Association Orchestra to Bernstein.
Well, you know, I am a conductor.
The list goes on,
Yeah.
with Dr. Tobiah referencing that many of her relationships fit the criteria of this diagnosis, reinforcing that her own personality disorder may indeed be contributing to why she's attracted to such partners.
Doesn't it give you any joy to see your friend enter into this holiest of unions?
No, it doesn't.
Seinfeld also deals in psychological and sociological experiments integrated into the show, such as episodes that push the envelope and discuss topics not normally discussed on television, such as the four having a contest to see who can hold out from self-sexual gratification the longest, who is, as they say, master of their domain.
Wait a second.
Count me in on this.
You? Yeah. You'll be out before we get the check.
Or an episode revolving around the bromance of Jerry and George with a misinterpretation of their own sexuality, an episode that aired in 1993.
We're not gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Even dealing with a controversial subject like abortion, relating it to baking a pie.
Cannot give the people the right to choose any topping they want. Now on this issue there can be no debate
What gives you the right to tell me how I would make my pie?
because it's a pizza.
It's not a pizza till it comes out of the oven.
It's a pizza the moment you put your fist in the dough.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
The four main characters of Seinfeld each have their idiosyncrasies, and their egocentrism makes it hard for them to make new friends. Oddly enough, the character who they each call their enemy at various points is at times the most misunderstood.
Because right now, I'm the only chance you've got.
Newman, the valiant postman, although not without his own defects, contrasts with the entire group's egocentrism, which makes him the villain of the show,
Who?
when in fact he plays as antagonist to the selfish four.
The dream is dead.
You giving up that easy?
I usually do.
Teetering on a diagnosis of antisocial personality disorder, of which a subset is sociopathy, we see his desire for disruption of the system.
I'm a United States postal worker.
Aren't those the guys that always go crazy and come back with a gun and shoot everybody?
Sometimes.
Reckless disregard with others, even in a life or death situation, and his deceitfulness for personal gain.
You remember this? When you control the mail, you control information.
This is coupled with his desire for friendship while being used by his own so-called friends, and his deep love for Elaine that is never realized, making him a prideful loner. Jerry Seinfeld himself has said that his character's disapproval and dislike of Newman had no real basis in anything.
But there was no real reason, Peter, for me to hate Newman. He never did anything bad to me.
You just thought
It was just fun. It was fun to hate him.
It's hard-pressed that we actually like watching and coming back to the characters in Seinfeld, particularly the main four, but it says something about the way we perceive comedy.
Your fault!
Just as self-deprecating humor from stand-up comedians provide us with enough relatability yet distance from the source, Seinfeld gives us the same comfort in our own home, away from the dysfunction inside our television. It was not written to be a commentary on psychology, or to be used as a textbook for psychiatric illness, but that's the point. The show was created to mirror observations from real life and to portray the comedy of ordinary existence, hence the show about nothing.
My whole life is a lie.
By doing so, it exposed so many truths inherent to our society and to humanity in general. Its humor is relatable, not because everyone watching is pathological, but because we understand our own species enough to relate. Thus, if aliens were to enjoy an episode of Larry David's masterpiece, I wonder if their alien minds would appreciate the genius.
I'm glad we had this talk.
Oh, you have no idea.